Hey everybody, time for another review of an action camera. This one is from a company called Vemico. This is their V3 model. It is 4K. So we're going to take a look exactly how good that this camera really is. Coming right up. Alright, like I said, we're going to take a look at the new action camera from a company called Vemico. It is their V3 4K. Now it is a dual screen, so it's got the rear screen and also a little front screen on it. And here are some of the specs. Image sensor, it's a Sony IMX179 16 megapixel CMOS sensor. It can record video 4K 30 frames a second, 2.7 at 30 frames, 1080p at 60 or 30 frames a second, 720 at 90, 60, and 30 frames a second. The video format is an MP4, H.264. You've got photo mode, photo burst. Now the photo format's in JPEG. We've got time lapse with it. Viewing angle is 170 degrees wide angle. The lens is an f2.8 focus. LCD screen on the back, which is 2-inch, which is very nice. The ports, you got a USB 2.0, HD out, a mini USB port. Memory, it'll hold up to a 32 gig card, and it weighs 65 grams. But enough of that, let's look inside the box, because we're not going to review the box, we're reviewing the camera. So let's see what we've got packed in here. We've got the camera in its waterproof case. I'm going to assume here that it is up to 30 meters, which most action cameras are. Put that aside right now. Nice little note, thank you for choosing the action camera Vemico V3. If you have any questions, blah, blah, blah. So let's see what we've got inside. Better yet, let's just dump it all out. Take a look. So we've got some straps, warranty card, user's manual. It is in English, so that's nice. Let's see. Extra battery, which is always handy. Some little tie downs. Oh, a little quarter 20 screw holder with a little wristband. More straps, some Velcro, some sticky pads. Got your skeleton case, which I use these a lot when it comes to using it as a dash cam. And bicycle mount, bunch of accessories here. 3 batteries, hot dog. So it came with 1 in the camera and 2 extras. And here's the remote. The remote control is nice. Guess that's what the straps are for. Wrist strap for photo and then for video. An extra back panel. A clip for the skeleton case. A USB charger for your batteries. I should say battery, because it looks like it's only going to charge 1 at a time, but that's still fine. It's nice to have a charger, then a USB cable, and a couple more GoPro little items. But let's take a look at the camera. Reminds me a little bit of the GoPro or even the SJ6 Legend with the dual screen. Let's see how fast this boots up. Let's see, right now it's set at 4K, 30 frames a second. Have an audio symbol or a little microphone symbol, let you know that the microphone is active on it. But first we're just going to test the camera as it is, but as you can see I need to stick in a video card, and Oh, look at there. Now it does not have a 1/4-20 screw, which I'm very fond of, but it does have, let me turn this off. It does have a battery slide out door, which I like. You know, now I've heard some people say that they don't like the little spring action because maybe the spring will break or whatever. It's, in my opinion, a lot better than the little thumbnail. And let's see. This is, I believe, a 1050 milliamp hour battery. And it is 1050 milliamp hour battery. So, enough of that. Let's take a look and see what the video looks like out of this little guy. Alright, doing low test or low light test, 1080 at 30 frames a second. When you can slow down the frame rate, it will increase the light that goes into the sensor. 24 frames would be optimal, but just to give you a little idea. Alright, one of the popular modes, 1080p, 60 frames per second. There's my old dog, Misty. Poor girl, she's like 15 and a half years old, but she's still trucking. Once again, a little flower. Keep in mind I'm just holding this handheld, and to do an audio test, I've got this out at arm's length right now. So we're going to do an audio test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how the audio sounds on this guy. Now this is 2.7K, 30 frames per second. Like I said, very overcast. You can tell it's winter is soon going to be upon us here. And same shot of that one little flower that's left. Hey Blackie, what are you doing? Alright, testing out the Vemico action camera. Now this is 4K, 30 frames per second. There is no image stabilization, but that's nothing that a 3-axis gimbal can't fix. It is extremely overcast today, so it's probably not the best day to check the video quality, but tomorrow is supposed to be sunny, so I'll do some more test footage with this tomorrow. Let's see, there's one little flower left right there. Alright, sunny day in Texas, now shooting 1080 at 60 frames per second with the Vemico V3. I like to shoot a lot in 1080 at 60 just because it seems to be a very still popular resolution for a lot of people. Blue the sky looks, right into the sun, and I am using a 3-axis gimbal just for some smooth shots here, just to give you an idea. Quick pan back and forth. I think it looks good. Come here, Blackie. And one more test of 2.7K, 30 frames per second, just to see how good and sharp the resolution looks at 2.7K, which should be really, really good. Skies once again. See how much we can see of the tree leaves in the distance there. Or these leaves. Looks good. Alright, 4K on a sunny day. Right, Misty? Misty. Misty. What are you doing, girl? Huh? The skies look. Dog doing his thing. I am using a gimbal for this footage, so just so you know. "4K, 30 frames a second. Vemico V3. And now to show you just a couple of still pictures that I used with this camera. So, what are my final thoughts about the Vemico V3 4K action camera? You know, I like it, and I'll tell you some of the pros and cons regarding this camera, and that's just my opinion. Pros, I like the fact that it's got a 2-inch back screen. I do like the fact that it is a dual screen because for the ability to see what's going on with the camera. I like its 1080. I like its low light performance. I like the fact that it is a 10,050 milliamp per hour battery that comes with it. So I've gotten some good long life. I think the 1080-60 is very nice. 2.7K is also very nice on this camera, and the 4K is not that bad on it. You know, I did have a little bit of frame stuttering that happened with it, but then again, I don't know what the chipset is that's inside of this camera. Another pro that I liked was the battery drawer that can flip out and open up, because I really like that over the thumbnail drawers. You know, one of the other pros was that I did like the audio quality. It didn't seem that muffled to me. It wasn't fantastic, but it didn't seem that muffled. And I like the fact that it's actually shooting in a true 4K. It is not interpolated at all. So that was a nice little pro also. And lastly on the pros, I did like the fact that it had a decent recording data speed from this camera, considering that at 1080 at 30 it was only recording at 15.7 megabits per second. 1080-60 was 31 megabits per second. 2.7K was 39 megabits per second, but then it dropped down a little bit in the 4K to 33 megabits per second. Now, it's not 60 megabits, but you know what? It's not the traditional. I mean, I've seen some action cameras that hover around 10 to 15 as a max on their bit rate. So it's nice to see that the camera had also a nice, decent bit rate with it as well. Cons. I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a 1/4-20 screw on the bottom, but that's not a deal breaker. Once again, the 4K is a little bit on the choppy side, and when it comes to the micro SD cards that I always use the SanDisk Extreme U3 in all of my 4K action cameras. So I know it wasn't the card's ability to write. I like the image quality. It seems very nice on this camera. The build is, you know, I would probably say the build quality on this is a little bit above par on some of the other action cameras that you can get out there that are in this price range. Another con is it does not have image stabilization of any kind, whether it's electronic or the little gyro, but it doesn't have that. Now, you saw with the clips earlier that you can get around that with a 3-axis gimbal, but a lot of people, they don't have a 3-axis gimbal. So any type of image stabilization is always appreciated. But I will tell you, there's only a few action camera makers out there that actually have decent image stabilization. Otherwise, the image stabilization, they crop in, it gets a little wonky. You know, the best thing is if you're going to use an action camera for any type of handheld shots and it's not strapped to your chest for an action scene, whether you're skiing or roller skating or skateboarding, whatever, I would suggest that you walk as smoothly and as softly as possible, and then you can achieve some better results. All in all, I was quite surprised because I've never heard of this brand before, the Vemico, and you know, it's kind of GoPro-esque regarding the dual screen on it. Looks a little bit like the SJ6 Legend as well. But all in all, I like the camera. I think it's a great buy for the price. I'll put a link in the description below so that you will have the opportunity to check it out for yourself. And remember, tell me what you think about it in the comments below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up and be sure to share it. And also, if you have a question, comment below because I respond to all comments. And if you're not a subscriber, be sure to subscribe today and click on the bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video.